WATD presents John Paul, the Car Doctor. All things automotive. Have questions? Call 781-837-4900. Now, here's John Paul, the Car Doctor.
Well, good Sunday morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Car Doctor program on 95.9 WATD. My name is John Paul, the Car Doctor, here to help you with your car problems on this partly sunny, partly cloudy Sunday morning. And I hope you can join us and call in and chat with us about your car and your car problems. And we're here to help you. But right now we have Kenny Garman on with us. He is from Premier Auction Group. Big auction taking place in Florida early in December. Kenny, good morning and welcome to the Car Doctor program.
Good morning, John. How you doing this morning?
Just fine. Tell us, first off, tell us a little about the Premier Auction Group. I think people have seen, different auction groups here and there, but Premier might not be the one that a lot of people think about, but you guys are a big deal.
Well, thank you. We've been around for 12, 13 years, and we always do two car auctions in Punta Gorda a year. We've done some in Columbia, Missouri, Dallas, Texas, Savannah, Georgia. So we've been around, and actually all the members have worked for what we call the big dogs before. And we just like to have an auction, have high energy, and a lot of fun. We want people to come back.
And tell us about auctions in general. It used to be if you went to an auction, first off, it sounded like you're at a cattle auction, real fast talking. A lot of that still goes on. But a lot of what happens at auctions now happens over the phone and over the internet, right?
Oh, yes. There's three ways to bid. You could bid live and in person in the auction gallery. And it's competitive bidding against we have a bank of phone bidders. So we'll have three people take care of all the phone bids. And usually these guys like to have a preview of a car, like a video sent to them, have someone look at it before they start bidding, as well as internet bidding. And that's done. We hire a company called Proxy Bid. And on our website, there's a direct link for each car that sends you to their landing page there on that particular car with Proxy Bid, and you get registered with them. What's good about Proxy Bid is that we have an agent that sits right next to the auctioneer, so there's no way he's going to miss a bid.
And Proxy Bid, that's a very trusted company in the auction world. I've heard their name used a lot in a lot of different auctions.
It's probably the biggest internet bidding company out there, and they've been around for many, many years, and a very trusted company.
And let's talk a little bit about the on-site auction. I think we've seen, people have seen it on TV, and I remember talking to, we'll say one of the big dogs. I believe it was Craig Jackson, and I said something about, is it my imagination, or when people are on TV, do the prices go up? And there was a little bit of that. It seemed like, and I said to him, oh, why do you think that is? And he said, well, some of it, you have to remember, some of these people have a lot of money, and they kind of want to show off for their friends. Is there a little bit of that happens in person too?
Oh, exactly. We have a camera crew that produces production there and puts it on live stream. You could look at it. There's a tab on our website that says Watch Live, and it's amazing when you turn that camera on somebody, they don't want to lose. And it was really cool. A couple of years ago, we had a German production team that did for their television show, and they came in with tons of cameras and guys interviewing people. It was really, really neat. And then when they put that light on that camera and shine it right there on those bidders, prices went up dramatically.
So it is true that there's a little bit of, I don't want to lose, but I also kind of maybe showing off a little bit.
Exactly. A lot of emotions go in with auctions, and it's fun to see it go down. Good for the sellers.
Well, and that's a good point too. Let's talk about that. When you consign a car and when you buy a car, there's fees at both ends, right?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
And because in fact, I answered a question this week in one of my columns. Someone asked about buying cars at auction, and I said, a couple of things you need to keep in mind, especially if you're buying from, maybe you live, up in Massachusetts where I live, and you're looking at, one of your auctions, you're looking at fees, but you also, sometimes people forget, I got to get the car or truck or motorcycle, or whatever it is, back home. So there's fees involved with that. Can you help people transport the vehicles afterwards?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Matter of fact, we have a transport company on site. It's called Sewell and Sons, and they specialize. They have their own trucks and also do brokering too for you. So they try to get you the best price and kind of a timeliness factor too, where it's amazing how the pieces of the puzzle all come together. But they'll take cars out to California, Arizona, and then meanwhile picking up cars here locally in Florida. But when a bidder wins, especially with a phone bidder or internet through proxy bid, his crew will contact the new owner, and it's just something that we offer. They can accept that or not, or get their own shipping company, but it's really neat to have that on site.
And the auction you guys have coming up in the beginning of December, do you have an idea how many vehicles you have consigned to the auction so far?
Yeah, we always shoot for a minimum of 450 cars, but our goal is 475. Right now we're at 412, so we got some more work to do here in the next few weeks.
Well, that 400 of anything is a lot, and and the on your webpage, premierauctiongroup.com, all the vehicles that I'm looking at are those all the vehicles that are going to be or are those the majority of the vehicles we'll see at the auction?
Yeah, all of those that are up online will be there. We're adding more and more cars every day. I think there's only like 305 or 306 cars up there right now. But as we get the descriptions and the photographs, we won't post it until we have the full, where we could show the buyers and the description and everything of what's coming through. But I mean, we got cars coming from Arizona, New York, Massachusetts. We even have a bunch coming from Mass, and all over the Midwest. So it's not just cars in Florida. It's really nationwide and worldwide.
And some of the stuff isn't just cars. I saw a little, I guess the proper term would be Petroliana or Automobilia. There's some pretty cool signs you guys have up. Some other kind of wheels and tires and parts and wall hangings and golf carts.
A lot of golf carts are popular.
Yeah, I bet. And quite a variety of vehicles, everything from kind of hot rods to, and I guess I mean this in the best way, a little bit of an oddball, like a 1984 Chrysler LeBaron Mark Cross wood-clad K-car convertible, which, when it came out, people, I think, kind of raised their eyebrows at it. But now you look, 40 years later, and it's a pretty cool car.
Yeah, that's one thing we try to do is offer something for everybody. We'll have cars as low as $3,000 on up to $1 million, and we try to specialize in a variety for everybody. We want everybody to attend. It's open for public bidding. You don't have to be a dealer, but we get some unusual. We had a car. It was a souped up. I think it was a '70s. Late 70s or early 80s Pinto, and that was like the number one thing that went viral. I mean, it was crazy how many clicks on the internet was in regards to that car. So there's a lot of like cult following on oddball cars.
Yeah, there certainly is. I go to a local Cars and Coffee not too far from where your auction is going to be, and I want to say every week there's a Pinto with some form of a V8 engine in it, and I still yet to figure out if it's the same guy and he's got like a whole fleet of them or not. But it's amazing how much attention that car gets, and like you said, there's a good variety. You know, looking at one of the cars you have, and I'm just kind of just scrolling through your website now. You know, one of them, an 57 Eldorado Seville Coupe. Really, I mean, first off, thing's got to be 400 feet long. It's not, but you know, it is a phenomenal looking car, and something you certainly don't see very often.
Yeah, it's interesting how they'll take guys will take a classic and they have great imagination, and they customize it, and some will street rod it. Others will make it into resto mods. Right now, resto mods are going through the roof. And that's basically taking an old, let's say an old Corvette, you know. We have one that's, I believe, a 61. So you have the old look, but you have the new drivetrain, a new engine, and you have that handling capability. So it's like it's almost like a race car that hugs the curves and everything, but it's got an old nostalgia look to it. And those are extremely popular right now.
Yeah, they are. And 10 or 15 years ago, I guess I didn't quite get it, but what I found out was exactly what you just said. All of a sudden, you took this older car that, you know, a 61, 62, you know, C1, C2 Corvette maybe, and it was an okay car, and for the time they were good, but all of a sudden now you put a different frame under it, upgraded engine, fuel injection, and the car starts up, rides well, handles well, and it's a car that you could drive every day and enjoy it. And you know, some of the other ones I'm looking at on your website, you know, some that really appeal to me. You have a 69 428 Mustang and a 1970 302 Mustang. Always one of my favorite body styles, that 6970 body style Mustang. Always just something I always like to look at. And a little bit local to home here in Massachusetts, on that same page, you have a Factory 5 Cobra replica. And, you know, depending on how those cars were put together, Dave Smith puts out a fantastic Factory 5 kit, and I know he was out at SEMA with his crew showing off his Factory 5 vehicles and his new F-Series pickup truck that he wants to be the biggest, meanest thing on the road right now. So like you said, there's a little bit of something here for everybody, from motorcycles to golf carts to some memorabilia sort of stuff, and just cool cars.
Yeah, and you were mentioning before about the resto mods. 10, 15 years ago, I thought these guys were crazy that they take an original car and then soup them up and resto mod it. And boy, they knew a lot more than I do in that, because they're just going up in price. You're talking about the fastback Mustangs. Always tons of bidders on those cars. So those are good. They're good toys to use and drive and have fun. Go out and date or go to your country club, but they're also great investments. They just seem to keep going up.
Well, and that's one of the things I really wanted to kind of congratulate you about, as well as, you know, it's this kind of thing that keeps the old car hobby fun and exciting. And really, if you do know what you're doing, and I'll go back to kind of a legendary old car guy who's gone from us now, but there was somebody at Hemmings Motor News years ago, and he always used to say that, you know, cars can be a great investment, but like the stock people say, past results don't guarantee future returns. But on the other hand, if you sort of know what you're doing, you can make some money buying and selling classic cars.
Oh, it's so true, and you got to find the right niche or the right cars. Usually, it's just because a car is rare doesn't mean it's going to go up in value. It's got to have other factors, like, of course, desirability. They want the muscle power or the big engine. Sometimes coupes will go higher than convertibles. So it's funny how some go straight up and others don't.
How do you keep from buying everything you see?
Oh, it's oh man, I'll look at my business partner and I'll say, "What do you think?" And we'll just smile. And sometimes there's some great deals that kind of slip through the cracks, but we make sure that we don't bid against our customers during the event. Now we do bid for other people that we represent. We'll do that, and we just disclose that with people. But usually when we buy something, it's privately. You'd think auction guys will be buying in the auction, but we just want to make sure it's competitive bidding just for our customers.
Right.
But it's tough to hold back.
I bet.
It's very tough.
And what I liked about some of the assortment is you have some, like, for want of a better word, some regular cars. I mean, I just stumbled across a nice little 2013 Volkswagen Beetle convertible. I mean, just they don't make them anymore. This was the previous generation new Beetle convertible, but fun little car to have, and just something that people can look at and drive it every day. I think it was a 2013, so it's 11 years old. It's got 90,000 miles on it, which isn't a lot of miles for a 2013, and it looks to be in really, really good condition. So for people that just maybe want a kind of fun, go get an ice cream on a summer night kind of car, this could be a good car, and it could go for a good price, especially if people are also shopping for the Bentley or the Cobra or the $1 million cars.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, that car is being shipped down from Pennsylvania, and that gentleman's bringing a few cars, and that would too. It may not cater to the people up there, but that's like a perfect Florida car. A lot of times people have two homes, where they're snowbirds, and they need a car that's cool. You can drop the top and go to the grocery down there in Florida, and it's perfect for a second home. And we got a lot of big-time Bentley luxury cars, and a lot of times people buy that for their second home too.
Yeah, well, not me. But yeah, it is. I mean, it is great. And if people want more information, they want to find out how to bid, they want to just check out the cars. If they can't come in person, how do you go about becoming a registered bidder?
You can get registered online, or you could call our 800 number, and it's 844-593-7355. Our website is premierauctiongroup.com, or I like pagauction.com. P as in Paul, A as in Alpha, G as in Golf, and then the word auction.com. That's easier to type in.
And how do you accept payment?
Payment is the different forms of payment. Most people do wire transfers. We do accept checks, business checks, personal checks, cashier's checks. And it used to be where you could get a bank letter of guarantee, and a lot of banks have stopped doing that. So what we do is we'll ask for a statement, like a bank statement there, because we want to make sure that there's secured funds for the seller. So we do go some criteria. It's not that hard to get bidding, to get a bidding credentials, and it's a pretty easy process when you're there. It's only like 3 minutes, but it's better to get pre-registered. That way you're already set. You can bypass the line and come around the crowd.
There you go. Well, it sounds good. If people, there's still time to consign. If people want to consign some cars to the auction, right?
Yeah, we got about 40 spots left. That's it, and then we'll be sold out. And we just invite everybody to come to. It's a great convention center in downtown Punta Gorda. I always recommend people, when they fly in or they come from a different state, to just get an Uber. Don't get a rental car, because once you go, the convention center's on the water, but downtown, once you go to your hotel, you can walk everywhere. There's bar and grills, great restaurants. It's just a phenomenal little town, and it's a lot of fun right there on the water.
And it's got an airport right there.
Yeah, Punta Gorda Airport, or you could fly to Fort Myers was just about 35 minutes south, or Sarasota, which is 45 minutes north of us.
Yeah,
so it's a great location.
Yeah,
it's a little gem. It really is.
It really is. And again, if people want to watch the auction live, they can go to the website and click on the Watch Live tab. And the dates for the auction again are going to be December 6th and 7th. Is that what it is?
Right. That's a Friday and Saturday. Gates open at 9, and the auction will start at 9:45 with some memorabilia. Kind of warm up the crowd, and we get right into the cars.
Sounds fantastic. Kenny, I want to thank you for taking some time out of your Sunday morning and joining us on the Car Doctor program, and I hope to see you on December 6th.
All right, sounds good, John. Thank you for having me on the show.
All right, take care. Bye-bye now.
Right,
that was Kenny Garman from Premier Auction Group. Check it out. I mean, the cars are phenomenal to look at. PremierAuctionGroup.com, and just, scrolling through what's for sale. Everything from a 18-foot steel car trailer to a Porsche Boxster, not 2010. Looks like it's in real nice shape. Something that I have appeals to only certain people. There's a Tiffany Classic Coupe. That's sort of a built on probably a Ford or GM chassis. Looks like an old car. Looks like maybe an old Mercedes or Jaguar from the 20s or 30s. Not my style of car, but some fun stuff. Nevertheless, Jaguar E-Type 2+2 coupe. You don't see a lot of those. 64 Corvette convertible. Bentley Continental, 2008 Bentley Continental. They're kind of interesting cars because they probably don't go for a whole lot more money than, a 10-year-old Toyota Camry. So there could be some really good deals in here. There is a 1971 Ford Ranchero. Now, I have always been sort of a El Camino over a Ranchero person, but this one is called a Ranchero Cobra, and they call it a Twister tribute car. Looks like a really super clean car, and it looks like it was really well done. Again, something to check out. Proxy bid allows you to bid online, which is nice. I know from other auction companies, everything from heavy equipment auctions to art auctions. Proxy bid's one of those groups that it's a secure auction site, makes it easy to know that your bid is going to work. This sounds like a fun time. I haven't been to a classic car auction in a very long time. I'm looking forward to getting over there and checking it out, providing there's no hurricane this week in Florida, where I'm currently right now taking care of the hurricane damage from the last 3 hurricanes. But anyway, enough about that. Why don't we take a break, pay some bills? If you would like to join us, 781-837-4900, 781-837-4900. Phone lines are wide open if you'd like to call and chat about maybe a car that you always wanted to buy, maybe a car that you have that's broken in the driveway, you want to talk about it. Give us a call at 781-837-4900. My name's John Paul. This is the Car Doctor program. You're listening on 95.9 WATD. We'll be right back.
Even car geeks and do-it-yourselfers rely on AAA to give them extra peace of mind on the road. AAA offers 24/7 roadside assistance, whether you're in your own vehicle, a friend's car, or even a rental. Combine that with great rates on insurance, hotel, gas, and dining savings, and discounts on 8,700 brands, and you're covered on and off the road. Get a special membership offer today at AAA.com/join. That's AAA.com/join.
Hey there, folks. It's Quinn Kelly reminding you to tune in Sunday night at 5 for the South Shore's first voice in sports talk radio, The Sports Exchange. Unmatched coverage of local high school action as well as a relatable voice on all things Boston pro sports. We've got you covered live at 5 every Sunday night. Have a question for our host, missed last week's show, or just want to share a great sports story? You can find us on Twitter at SE on WATD. But remember, mark your calendar, folks, and we'll see you Sunday night at 5 for the Sports Exchange on 95.9 WATD.
Make an appointment Sunday morning at 11 for John Paul, the Car Doctor, on 95.9 WATD. Now, back to the Car Doctor.
And welcome back to the Car Doctor program on 95.9 WATD. A couple of, I I guess, odd things to talk about. I have a couple things I'm going to be testing in the next couple weeks. A Bluetooth-enabled scan tool. I've actually had it for a while, and I haven't had a chance to use it. It looks like it's one of those ones you plug into the OBD port, so the port under the dash of your car. You download an app on your phone, and you're able to read codes, clear codes, things like that. But this one looks a little bit different because it looks like it has some bidirectional controls, so you can do things like turn the fuel pump on and turn the cooling fan on, things like that. So I haven't even taken it out of the box yet. I want to take a look at that. And also, I have an alignment machine coming. And you say, an alignment machine? What are you going to do with that, and where are you going to put it? Well, I stumbled across it online one day, and it uses your phone, and it's basically a holder that your phone sits in, and you hold it up against your tire, and I guess you use typical alignment kind of characteristics, turn the wheels left and right to get caster and camber, point the wheel straight ahead, go from one side of the car to the other to measure toe in and toe out. I don't know, but I was intrigued by it, and it's a couple of young guys out of Texas, and they're selling it through like one of those like Etsy sort of websites, but I don't think it's that. But something like that. One of those websites for kind of like little startup companies. And wait to see what it is, see how accurate it is, and I'm kind of intrigued by it. It's what's a little bit odd is it seems to be some sort of subscription based, so maybe to get the alignment angles, I'm not sure yet. So we'll wait and see. It's not a whole lot of money. I think it was under $100. So if it's accurate, it's less than the cost of a wheel alignment. But is it the same as a $20,000 alignment machine? Well, the $20,000 alignment machine includes the lift it's on, but I don't know. It's sort of interesting. And, when we were talking to Kenny Garman from Premier Auction Group, he said there's quite a few golf carts. Be surprised how many times I've seen people with golf carts and pieces of wood attached to the tires to try to get adjustment angles for the front wheels, to sort of toe-in angles, to try to do maybe this thing works on golf carts. I don't know. It's just one of those things that sort of intrigued me to see how good it really is. The other one that I saw recently was a headlamp. So you can buy them from, I don't know, I think Harbor Freight was even giving them away once, but thing you wear on your head with a flashlight. So you can, if you're working, under the hood of a car in a tight place, under a dash, under your kitchen sink, whatever it is, you got a flashlight attached to your head so you can see what you're doing. And as I'm getting older, I need more light to see, so having a light is good. This one I saw was pretty unique. It was a LED sort of band that wrapped around your head, or on a hat, I guess. And it was motion activated, so you waved your hand next to it to turn it on and off, which sounds handy. That's better than trying to, especially if your hands are dirty, trying to find an on and off switch. Supposed to give you a wider band of light than the typical LED one. I have seen all kinds of people using headlamps. My nephew, who does insulation work when he's up in an attic, will wear one to get up there to see in the nooks and crannies to be able to do things. So it is one of those things that can be kind of handy. Never heard back from the people, so don't know. We'll have to wait and see what how that works. I'm always kind of curious when people reach out to me and they'll say, "Oh, you want to try something out?" And I tell them what I do. I tell them I have this program here on 95.9 WATD, or I write a column for Boston.com or the Providence Journal or Newsday in New York. I kind of, for my bosses at AAA today, I sort of listed where my column appeared this week. Also appeared on MSN's homepage and AOL. I didn't even know people went to AOL for news. Yahoo News, it was on their page. So, I'll say, well, the column, the people ask me about things like this and want to know how good they are. And, some of the stuff I'll go out and buy myself. The couple of things that I purchased from Harbor Freight recently. I think I talked about I was in Harbor Freight and I looked at this inexpensive plug-in impact wrench. Is it the most powerful wrench in the world? No. Is it enough to take lug nuts off? It's a little heavy. It's a little awkward feeling. But it was way better than dragging out my little air compressor, firing up my 40-year-old air tools. It may or may not work because they've been sitting for so long. Took out an extension cord, which I was going to need anyway, plugged it in, got the lug nuts off my car, did the brakes on the car, replaced the brake rotors front and rear and brake pads front and rear. Worked fine. Put all the wheels and tires back on, and I have an old torque wrench. But I'm like, I wonder how do they get inaccurate over time? I know you should, with the clicking or digital style torque wrenches, you should have them tested for accuracy and calibration periodically. But I bought an inexpensive torque wrench from Harbor Freight. Would I use it on low torque things like, something that's 10 or 15 foot-pounds? I don't know. I question the accuracy for that. But the lug nuts, for instance, on my car are supposed to be between 75 and 84 foot-pounds or something like that. So I used 80 as a good round number. Put everything on, click, 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 went around, did all four tires. About 100 miles later, I sort of marked a couple of the lug nuts with a Sharpie marker and then backed off the lug nut and then used my oldest torque wrench and tightened it back up to the same, whatever it was, 80 foot-pounds to see if the marks would line up. Because you can't really use, even though a torque wrench is ratchety and you can try to measure the torque coming off, that's not accurate. The only way you can really measure torque is to retighten it to exactly the same position. And it, for whatever this Harbor Freight cheap torque wrench cost, it did the job just fine. And I'm amazed at any of this stuff that comes from mostly China, I suppose. Where I am right now in our little Florida tin shack, we had 3 named hurricanes this season. The last 2 were pretty significant, Helene and this past one that just happened, and hopefully this latest one blows out to sea somewhere. But the little room that I'm sitting in had about 8 inches of water in it. And we had some IKEA-style particle board storage cabinets that literally exploded because they got wet. We had a couch that got all wet and mildewy. We had a kind of an antique-y chest that we used as a coffee table that we kind of gussied it up to look a little bit beachy. It actually said beach on the front of it. But it had, some shells stuck to it, tacky sort of things that made it look like it should be at a beach cottage. And all that stuff ended up in the trash. And I found a coffee table at Facebook Marketplace that's made out of metal. So I said, well, if this floods again somehow, at least the metal coffee table won't get ruined. And rather than a new couch, I ordered a fake rattan wicker-ish kind of thing, so plastic wicker, I guess. So if it gets wet, nothing will happen to it, and it has a metal frame. Now, it's a more or less a full-size couch, but it's a patio couch. It's meant to be, outside in your patio, by your swimming pool, probably at Jesse's house, near his guest house, but one of those kind of things. And it came in a box that was probably 3 feet square, and it weighed 70 pounds. And it's a couch. and it got shipped from China. So it went from, I assume China, or it just said the facility, but I assume China because it had Chinese writing on it. So it got shipped from China to Long Beach, California. Got shipped from Long Beach, California to Orlando, Florida. Then Orlando, Florida to where the auction is going to be at Punta Gorda. And then the less than happy FedEx guy showed up when he went to pick it up and realized it weighed almost 70 pounds and dropped it at my door. So here's this $239 couch that first off came in a little tiny box that some assembly was required. A lot of assembly was required. It took a couple hours to put it together. So basically just putting all the frames together. Lots of nuts and bolts. It came with a little tiny ratchet and a little tiny Allen wrench and a little tiny wrench that looked like it was stamped out of beer cans. And it was, I put it all together and I'm like, this thing costs under $250 with the tax. It had to cost $75 to ship it from California to here. So, and how much did it cost to ship it from China to California? How much did the thing really cost to make? And then be able to sell it at a profit. It amazes me. I don't understand it, and I don't pretend to understand it, but I don't know. Somebody wrote to me this morning and said, I have a base model 2015 Subaru Forester with 25,000 miles on it. The dashboard screen is tiny. It sounds like the one in my Hyundai. It doesn't show a car approaching until it's practically right behind me. This makes it difficult and dangerous when I'm trying to back out of my driveway or a parking spot. Instead of buying a newer Forester with a larger screen, is there any way to incorporate a new one? Yes and no. I mean, you can certainly have an aftermarket backup camera put in with a wider view camera. You would need to upgrade the screen and the radio. You could add a touch-style screen that would give a better view. So they would take out the whole radio display assembly, put in something new and up-to-date. The good thing about that is the upgrade could also, come with things like Bluetooth and Apple CarPlay or Android Auto or all those kind of things. But you're probably looking at a couple $1,000s plus installation. And as good as it could be, it might almost look a little bit aftermarket. It could work. It could work, and it could work great. The other possibility is you can get these convex lenses that sort of static stick to the rear window, and where it's a Forester, it's a pretty flat rear window. So you dip them in water, you stick it on the rear window. They're probably 12 or 14 inches square or slightly rectangular. So when you look out the rear window or you look out the rearview mirror to the rear window, you're going to see about a 30 or 40% wider view. That might be a better view than what you're getting from a rearview camera. All of this stuff is good, and I know it's tough, especially if you're in a smaller SUV like a Forester and you're parked between a Chevy Suburban and a Ford Excursion. You got to back up, but got to do it the old-fashioned way. You back up a little bit at a time until you can kind of see in each direction. Backup cameras are great. They're helpful. When I back up to my little boat trailer, the backup camera is nice that I can line up the trailer hitch with the ball. Nice, but sometimes you got to go do things the old-fashioned way. Before we take another break, and if you want to join us, our phone number is 781-837-4900. I'm thinking about buying a 2019 Acura RDX. The car only has 30,000 miles on it. It's been dealer serviced, and I would say it's in overall exceptionally good condition. Have you ever test driven this vehicle, and how did it do? Well, it was 5 years ago, but I do remember it as a comfortable car, well appointed. What I do remember about it also is that I don't remember there being a whole lot difference in feel between the Acura RDX and the Honda CR-V. They're kind of built on the same version or same platform. Yeah, it had nicer features, and it was probably a little bit quieter. The CR-V has always been known to be a little bit noisy, but they share a lot of the same architecture. And also, Consumer Reports gave the 2019 a lower rating than other years, and I believe that might have to do with some growing pains for the first year of the 2-liter turbocharged engine and the first use of what is now pretty common, a 10-speed automatic transmission. And also there was some sort of odd problems with the infotainment system to the point where Acura actually extended the warranty. So if you're thinking about buying one of those, that might be something to think about. Is it a good car? It's a Honda Acura. Yeah, it's a good car. Absolutely. One more and we'll take a break. My 2011 Ford Mustang has a 3.7-liter Cyclone V6 engine, and it drives really well. Never heard anyone actually refer to it as a Cyclone V6, but it is. And what was interesting about the Cyclone V6 is it shared a lot of components with the V12 engine that was in the Aston Martin. Basically, they took like two V6 engines and made a V12 out of it. That was when Aston Martin and Ford were together. And but this person says, 2 years ago, as good as the car ran, I added an enhancing performance tune from MPT. I don't really know them, but this electronic tune-up added a bit more response and a bit more horsepower. Maybe. I find that's somewhat subjective. All has been good and enjoyable. However, recently I've been smelling gasoline when the car sits in the driveway. I've checked for leaks when hot and cold and under the car. I can't locate it, and I'm just guessing it's fumes, but I'm at a loss from where. The car was recently inspected and passed without any issue. Any thoughts? My guess would be some issue with the evaporative emission system, probably a bad purge valve or canister, probably not bad enough to trip up the OBD system and turn a check engine light on. But the system stores the fumes from the gas tank. So, if you're old enough to sort of remember, if you saw a car sitting in a parking lot on a hot day, you'd see sort of literally fumes coming off of it. And today's cars don't do that because what happens is the gas tanks are essentially sealed, and when the car's shut off, all those fumes expand into something called a charcoal canister. The charcoal canister stores all the fumes, and then when you restart it, the purge valve opens up, sucks all the fumes into the engine, so essentially burning the fumes and not having them go into the atmosphere. Well, if you're somebody who periodically overfills their gas tank, for instance, you can end up forcing raw fuel into the purge valve system, kind of ruin the purge valve and the canister. Maybe if you can get somebody to put up on a lift, they can kind of literally look around and see. The other thing, if they happen to have a 4-gas exhaust gas analyzer, maybe even an old style one sitting in the corner, an old 2-gas or 3-gas exhaust analyzer, they are fantastic sniffers. And I know some old garages that keep one around for things like they use it for checking for a head gasket. So they take the sniffer that would normally go in the tailpipe, and they don't even use they don't even bother with calibration gas, which I guess you can still buy it somewhere, but they just sort of get a rough idea, and so they calibrate it to open air, and then they take the sniffer and they hold it over the top of an open radiator, and if they see hydrocarbons build up to really any extent, well, you have a head gasket problem. Same thing if you take this same sniffer that would normally go in the tailpipe, and now they have these, it hooks up to a little tiny kind of laptop-looking thing, so you don't need the big machine. But like I said, I know people that didn't throw away the big machine, and they'll keep it around for just that reason. And you can take the wand, kind of run along the fuel lines up around. All of a sudden, you get to places like the purge canister, purge valve, charcoal canister, and all of a sudden, bing, you watch the hydrocarbon needle swing way up to one side, and you're like, aha, there's a leak up in here somewhere, let's replace those parts, solve the problem. So that might be, if you can find somebody with one of those, that would be a good way to do it. Why don't we take another break? Our phone number is 781-837-4900, 781-837-4900. This is the Car Doctor program. You'll see 95.9 WATD. We'll be right back.
Even car geeks and do-it-yourselfers rely on AAA to give them extra peace of mind on the road. AAA offers 24/7 roadside assistance, whether you're in your own vehicle, a friend's car, or even a rental. Combine that with great rates on insurance, hotel, gas, and dining savings, and discounts on 8,700 brands, and you're covered on and off the road. Get a special membership offer today at AAA.com/join. That's AAA.com/join.
Hi, this is Liz Loans. Tune in to Twilight Showcase Radio, hosted by Sandy Stride and Keith James. Visit twilightshowcase.org.
Twilight Showcase, tonight
From 8 to 10.
on 95.9 WATD. Make an appointment Sunday morning at 11 for John Paul, the Car Doctor, on 95.9 WATD. Now, back to the Car Doctor.
And welcome back to the Car Doctor program. And that AAA commercial reminded me we can give away a AAA membership. And here's the deal. You have to be a non-member. I know that's hard in Massachusetts because nearly 50% of the people who drive or have a car registered in Massachusetts are AAA members, maybe even more than that. I think it's a little higher in Rhode Island, but it's in that 50+% range. But if you're not a AAA member, here's how it works. You call in, and if you're the ninth caller, because we're 95.9, and you're the ninth caller, and you're not a AAA member, you call in and say, "Hi, I want to win the free AAA membership, and here's what I need. I'll need from Jesse and you, name, address, phone number, and email, and you have to live in Massachusetts, New York-ish, so from like New York City, northern New Jersey, central New Jersey, up to Utica, New York, half of Connecticut, western part of Connecticut. Never know where people are listening to. Rhode Island, obviously. So if you're listening in Rhode Island, Massachusetts, most of New York, where the people live, and central or northern New Jersey, give us a call at 781-837-4900. The ninth caller will win a AAA membership. How's that? So, simple enough. For years, I drove a 2006 Honda Pilot with daytime running lights. Never had to turn on my headlights at night. I was stunned to find out when I bought a 2017 Jeep Wrangler that you must turn the headlights on when it gets dark. To this day, I still forget and drive with the headlights off. Is there some way to convert the running lights for safety reasons, or headlights, I guess? Pretty common occurrence. Not every car has auto-on headlights. For instance, the 3 cars that are in our household, 2 out of 3 do not. The little Hyundai that I have does. It also has daytime running lights, which I never use. I just leave the headlights on when it gets dark. The lights come on. Can you convert it? Yes. Is it easy? No. You'll need to find all the components, which is the module, the sun sensor, the associated wiring, and then once installed, the main computer needs to be reprogrammed to make the changes that require access to the Jeep software. So in other words, you put all these parts in, then you have to tell the computer that it has all these parts installed. So it makes it a little bit more difficult. I like to say that anything can be done with enough time, talent, and budget. So sometimes you may not have 2 out of 3 or 1 out of 3. Time, yeah, you might have the time. You might have the budget, but maybe you can't do it yourself, so you got to go find somebody else. So, it's dark at 5 o'clock now. Remember that, when if you're getting out of work at, 5 o'clock, you need to turn your headlights on. And this is where I'm always confused, but this is what it says, and I took it right out of the registry handbook. You need to turn your headlights on 30 minutes after sunset and keep them on for 30 minutes before sunrise. How come you don't turn them on 30 minutes before sunset and 30 minutes after sunrise? Why is that? Why is it? It seems like it would be dark, but that's what it says. It says put your headlights 30 minutes after sunset and 30 minutes before sunrise. But it's just that simple. It's sometimes you just got to remember to do it. It's got to be the old-fashioned way. What can I say? It's that's sort of how it's done, and that's what you need to do. A couple other questions that came in. I always like the questions that come during the week. Some of them come in through email, through one of the columns. Some of them come in because they listen to the radio program. Some of them come in because they listen to the podcast. And thank you for listening to the podcast. Somebody still listed as the number 3 automotive podcast you should listen to in 2024. I kind of question that one because there's a lot of really good podcasts and people do stuff. So I'd like to buy an electric car, but my driving is typically local, occasionally trips of 200 to 250 miles. My brother suggested a Tesla Model Y, but it could be a great car, but I'm not a fan of Elon. What do you think of the Hyundai Ioniq 5? Would you choose a rear wheel with a 300-mile range or the all-wheel drive with the 250-mile range? I don't have really any experience with the Tesla models other than I've driven them all, but I've never really road tested them all. I've driven them, but no real long road test. Tesla Model Y, based on my very limited experience, is a really nice car. They've never offered me one for a test drive, but I have driven it, and I really liked it a lot. I thought they did a really nice job with it. Still, I kind of like the idea of buying a car from a car company, not a tech company, although I guess they're getting to be a tech company. So getting to be a car company because they're selling a lot of cars. The Ioniq 5, great car. It's the ride and handling are quite good. All-wheel drive. I've driven both all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive. What I found was the all-wheel drive version, when charged up on a level 1, they're not really the charge. The charge is in the car. So it's the electronic vehicle supply cable. So it's the thing that plugs into the wall. But we'll call it a charger because that's what people call it. So when I plug into 110 volts, it charges up the battery. It charges up really, really, really slow, but you get the most range out of it. And I found that even though the all-wheel drive Model 5 said it would go 259 miles or something on a full charge, it was up over 300 on a full charge when charged really slow. So, does that bother me a lot? If I was planning a long-distance trip and I want to try to kind of eke out the most mileage, yeah, I would do it with the all-wheel drive one. Do it slowly, and if you live here in the Northeast, it's probably going to snow. So all-wheel drive is always better in the snow. So that's what I would do. Congratulations to Tom from Pembroke for winning. And then I don't know how much time we have left, but let's talk to Carol from Lynn. Carol's been listening to us for a long, long time. Good morning, Carol.
Yes, good morning. My better half called you a couple of weeks ago, so I thought it was my turn now.
There you go.
You hit upon a topic that's really, really important to me. And by the way, I'm your biggest fan, so I'll fight anybody else about that.
All right.
Who says they're not. And the thing is the lights. Now, I've almost been hit by people who don't have their lights on. I'll be pulling onto a main street. Someone will come down without their lights on. It's dark. You don't see them. Now, years ago when we had our regular cars, you got in the car, it's dark, you turn on the lights, the dashboard lights would go on. So you
Absolutely.
knew your headlights were on.
Right.
Nowadays, the computers, I think the dashboard lights are on all the time, so people don't know their lights are on.
Well, and yeah,
That's
sometimes,
the only thing I can figure.
yeah,
That's all I can figure.
sometimes that happens, and I'll give you an example. The Volkswagen that my wife has daytime running lights. They're on all the time, but you have to physically turn the headlights on. But if you're driving around at night, sometimes the daytime running lights give enough light off where you think the headlights are on. And then you look down at the dash. Then you look down at the dash, and the dash is dark. And you go, "Oh wait, I didn't turn the headlights on." So I think it could be a combination of a bunch of things. And you're right, with digital display dashes, the old, the other dashes that you had a speedometer, a gas gauge, and a temperature gauge or whatever. The lights were either on or they weren't. But when these new cars that all have digital dashes, well, they're always on. And you're right.
Yeah,
So
because the
you
lights
look
are
down,
on.
you look down, and you think they're on, and you forget to turn the headlights on. So, you know, I don't know what the answer is other than sometimes you just got to remind.
Computers take over human driving. That's the answer. Humans
Well-
make too many mistakes.
Well, you know, somebody asked me once what I thought about autonomous vehicles, and the one thing I said, and it was actually the guy he's a highway transportation guy, and he said, "What do you think about all this?" And I said, "Well, at least somebody's paying attention." And that's kind of the problem. That's kind of the problem. And I always tell a story about a police officer up in Framingham pulled a guy over for weaving going down the road, and his daughter was telling me, the cop's daughter was telling me the story, and I didn't believe her till I actually verified it. But I said to her, what did he pull him over for? And he says, well, he was weaving going down the road, and his speed was going up and down. And I said, what was going on inside the car? And he said, well, apparently he fashioned some sort of a waffle maker inside his car, and he was trying to make waffles as he was driving.
Well, that's ridiculous.
And he was, he was some kind of, tech guy from, I don't know, someplace, some computer company or Bose or something up that way. And he said, he said to the cop, I like a hot waffle when I get to work, and it cooked it a little too fast today, so I was trying to get the waffle out of the waffle iron. And I'm like, what are you out of your mind?
Do it at work.
Yeah, do it at work. Yeah, do it at work.
Hey,
Exactly.
Can I put in a quick plug for the Ford C-Max? What a great car! We've got the hybrid, plug-in hybrid.
Yep.
What a great car!
All right.
Consumer Reports even said it was one of the best cars you could buy.
There you go. Hey,
So,
Carol,
put
always
it
a
on.
pleasure. Always a pleasure to hear from you, but we got to get going. But always a pleasure to hear from you, and thank you for listening for all these years.
All right, thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye now. That music means we got to go. You've been listening to the Car Doctor program in 95.9 WATD. Until next week, make sure you wear your seatbelt, drive safely, be good to your car, and if you see an emergency vehicle by the side of the road, slow down or move over. It saves lives. Talk to you all next week. Bye-bye.